Welcome to Fractured Chaos.
You ever meet someone so evil, so cartoonishly awful, you start questioning if they were sent specifically to ruin your life? Like the universe looked at your peaceful existence and said, "You know what this guy needs? A nemesis." Yeah, that was Brenda, my neighbor from hell, and the reason I now own 48 lawn flamingos. Don't worry, that'll make sense later. But let's rewind to the part where she tried to steal my dog. Twice. The war started over something stupid. A trash can. Picture this. It's a windy Thursday in suburban Florida. Hurricane season's brewing, and Mother Nature's testing her fan settings. Brenda's garbage, because of course it's her garbage, goes on a magical mystery tour through the neighborhood. Half of it lands in my yard like confetti at the world's saddest parade. Now, I'm a reasonable man. I see trash, I pick it up. Civic duty, right? I even sorted her recyclables properly because I'm not a monster. Next day, a note taped to my door, in Sharpie, all caps, like she was personally offended by lowercase letters, "Mind your business." No name, no signature, just pure concentrated aggression wrapped in postal adhesive. I laughed it off, figured maybe she was having a bad day. Maybe her horoscope warned her about helpful neighbors or something. Until I woke up the following Thursday to find my own trash artistically distributed across my lawn like some demented yard sale. And here's the kicker. There's ring cam footage of her doing it. In a ski mask. A ski mask. In Florida. In August. When it's 97 degrees with humidity that could choke a fish. She looked like she was robbing a bank, but instead she's just redistributing garbage with the dedication of a method actor. That's when Brenda discovered her true calling, petty HOA complaints. Suddenly I'm getting letters, official ones, with letterhead and everything. My grass is 2 inches too high, not too long, too high. Like she measured it with a ruler and found it personally offensive. My porch light is aggressively bright. I'm still trying to figure out how a light bulb can be aggressive. Does it flex? Does it make threats? And my personal favorite, my wind chimes are emotionally disruptive. Yes, that was the actual phrase. Emotionally disruptive. I pictured Brenda lying awake at night, traumatized by the gentle tinkling of metal tubes swaying in the breeze. Maybe she needed therapy. Maybe we all did. At first, I thought maybe she was just lonely and bored. You know how it is. Retirement hits different when your hobbies include surveillance and grudge holding. Then she installed 7 cameras. 7. All pointing directly at my house like I was running some kind of criminal enterprise out of my garage. For context, I work from home as a freelance graphic designer. My biggest crime is drinking too much coffee and occasionally forgetting to wear pants during Zoom calls. One night, I finally snapped. Well, not snapped, more like reached my threshold for tolerance. I walked over to her house, knocked on her door, and asked the most reasonable question in the history of neighborly discourse. "What's your deal?" You know what she said? She looked me dead in the face with the seriousness of someone delivering a state secret and said, "Some of us know how to document patterns." Then she shut the door like she'd just dropped the final line in a Netflix thriller. I stood there for a solid 30 seconds, wondering if I'd accidentally wandered into an episode of CSI Suburban Edition. 2 days later, someone slashed my car tire. Just one tire, because apparently even vandalism has a budget in Brenda's world. Guess whose 7 high-tech surveillance cameras mysteriously malfunctioned that night? Yeah, all of them. What are the odds? Now I have a rescue pit bull named Nova, sweetest girl alive. She's basically a 60-pound lapdog who thinks she's a chihuahua. Never barks unless there's a squirrel emergency. Sleeps 18 hours a day like she's training for the Olympics of napping. Until one day she's just gone. I come home from a grocery run and my backyard looks like a prison break scene. Fence cut with surgical precision. Gate standing wide open like an invitation to chaos. I panic. Full-blown, heart in my throat panic. I'm running through the neighborhood yelling, "Nova!" like some deranged person, checking every bush, every alley, every place a dog might hide. 5 hours later, 5 hours, I find her. Tied up in Brenda's backyard. Eating raw chicken out of a silver dog bowl that said Bella in fancy script lettering. Not kidding, she had prepared. She had supplies. I knock on Brenda's door, and she answers like she's been expecting me. Casual as anything, she says, "Oh, I thought she was a stray. She seemed hungry." I'm standing there, processing the audacity, the sheer mathematical impossibility of her statement. "Brenda," I said, trying to keep my voice level. "She's microchipped. She literally wears a collar with my name, my address, and my phone number." Brenda looked at me with the expression of someone who'd just been told the sky was purple. "Well," she said, "maybe she ran away for a reason." Like my dog had been planning her escape. Like Nova had been secretly unhappy with the kibble selection, or my Netflix choices. I filed a police report that night. Theft of property, attempted pet theft, whatever charges apply when someone essentially tries to steal your family member. She filed a counter-report for harassment and trespassing. Her official statement included the phrase, "I feared for my life," when describing our interaction. I'm 5'10", 170 pounds, and I was asking for my dog back. She's describing me like I'm the Incredible Hulk having a bad day. At this point, I was exhausted, ready to move, ready to find a nice cabin in the mountains where the only neighbor is a friendly bear who minds his own business. But then something interesting happened. For exactly 48 hours, Brenda's Wi-Fi network showed up as unsecured. Whether it was a technical glitch or divine intervention, I'll never know. You know what popped up in the shared printer queue? A Word document. Title, Q4 HOA Influence Plan. Brenda H. Yes? She had a quarterly business plan for neighborhood warfare. This wasn't random chaos. This was strategic, organized. She had spreadsheets. Names, dates, photos, detailed behavioral observations. A full list of neighbors she wanted fined, investigated, or evicted, color-coded by threat level. My name was under a bolded header that read, "Target, High Threat." Apparently, I was dangerous because I maintains property too well and displays suspicious friendliness. Under another section titled Escalation Protocols, she'd written, "If Samson retaliates, contact former employer regarding concerning behavior patterns." She had researched me. Full background check. She knew where I used to work, what car I drove, probably my credit score. This woman had turned petty neighbor disputes into a part-time intelligence operation. Now it was personal. I had two options. 1. Keep playing defense, document everything, hope the system worked. 2. Become the villain she already thought I was. Guess which one I chose? I went to Home Depot and bought 48 plastic flamingos, pink ones, the most aggressively cheerful lawn ornaments money could buy. That night, under cover of darkness like some sort of decorative special ops mission, I placed every single one across her front lawn. Strategically positioned so that from a drone's view, or Google Earth, or a very tall ladder, they spelled out 2 words. Just vibing! The next morning, I watched from my kitchen window as Brenda discovered my masterpiece. She stood in her robe, coffee mug in hand, staring at this pink plastic army occupying her perfectly manicured grass. But here's where it got beautiful. Every morning I moved them, just slightly. Different formation, same message. I even started documenting it, creating time-lapse footage like some sort of suburban nature documentary. Day 1, traditional flamingo cluster. Day 2, flamingo conga line. Day 3, flamingo spiral of confusion. Day 4, flamingo heart shape, because I'm not heartless. After 4 days of this psychological lawn warfare, she snapped. She came storming across the driveway in her bathrobe and slippers, pointing at me like I'd personally offended her ancestors. "I'll get you put in a mental facility," she screamed. To which I replied, with the calm of a man who'd found his calling, only if it's pet-friendly. That night, I made 48 copies of Brenda's Q4 HOA influence plan, printed them on nice paper, professional quality. I left one in every mailbox in the neighborhood. Anonymous delivery like some sort of suburban WikiLeaks operation. But for the HOA board president, I went special. Hand delivery, with a pink post-it note that simply read, "Pattern documented." Turns out Brenda had more enemies than a Bond villain. People started coming forward like survivors of some neighborhood trauma support group. A guy 3 houses down said she'd keyed his Tesla because he parked too close to the property line. The property line that was 17 feet away from his car. A woman 2 blocks over said Brenda had accused her 4-year-old daughter of practicing witchcraft because the kid liked to wear black and talk to trees. An elderly man reported that she'd been measuring his grass with an actual ruler and filing complaints when it exceeded HOA regulations by millimeters. She had been running a one-woman neighborhood surveillance state, and we'd all been living under her regime without realizing it. The HOA launched a formal investigation. Brenda tried to call an emergency community meeting to address the harassment campaign against her. Nobody showed up, not one person. She sent another letter, this time offering cookies and coffee. Still nothing. The final straw came when Mrs. Peterson from Pine Street called me, laughing so hard she could barely speak. "Samson," she said, "you need to check your Ring app." There it was, clear as day. Brenda, at 2 in the morning, dumping used cat litter into the Petersons' pool. She didn't even own a cat. She'd been buying cat litter specifically for this purpose, bulk purchasing it like some sort of feline waste-based domestic terrorist. The footage was perfect. Hollywood-quality evidence of a woman who'd completely lost touch with reality. Within 2 weeks, Brenda received more HOA violations than the rest of the neighborhood combined over the past 5 years. Unauthorized surveillance equipment, harassment of neighbors, property damage, frivolous complaints, and my personal favorite, misuse of community resources for personal vendettas. They stripped her of her self-appointed neighborhood compliance liaison status, a position that apparently didn't exist, but she'd been enforcing anyway. 3 weeks later, a for sale sign appeared in her yard. Not even one of those "we buy ugly houses" signs. A real estate agent, professional photography, the works. She was done. The last conversation I ever had with Brenda happened on a Saturday morning. She was loading boxes into a moving truck, and I was watering my perfectly regulation-height grass. She walked over with the solemnity of someone delivering a final message to humanity. "You think you've won," she said, "but karma's a long game." I turned off my hose, looked at this woman who'd tried to steal my dog, sabotage my property, and turn the entire neighborhood into her personal surveillance state, and said, "Good, I'm patient." I kept the flamingos, all 48 of them. But when Brenda's house went on the market and potential buyers started coming around for tours, I did something special. I transferred my pink plastic army to the front lawn of the house directly across from hers. Same formation, same message. Because some legacies are worth preserving. The house sold within a month to a lovely family with 3 kids and a golden retriever named Biscuit. They love the flamingos. The kids have named each one. Brenda's house? Still on the market 6 months later. Apparently, word gets around in small neighborhoods. I heard she moved to a retirement community in Arizona, probably terrorizing people over shuffleboard violations and aggressive bird feeders. But sometimes, late at night, when the wind chimes are playing their emotionally disruptive lullaby, I think about that quarter plan of hers. The dedication, the organization, the sheer commitment to chaos. And I realized something. Maybe I could have taken the high road, been the bigger person, turned the other cheek. But the low road, it had better scenery. And 48 flamingos to guide the way. Nova's doing great, by the way. Still thinks she's a lapdog. Still sleeps 18 hours a day, and she's never once tried to run away for mysterious reasons. Though sometimes I catch her staring at the flamingos with what I swear looks like approval. Even dogs understand justice, apparently.